Go. So, good afternoon, everyone. So, for today, we would be talking about the basic framework of the different listening activity. Kasi, although na-discuss ko siya according to the book, but then some of you have, ano naman, di ba, na do not have the clear understanding kung ano talaga yung gagawin. So, based on the activity that you passed last night, I think it's not really clear kung anong nangyayari sa activity nyo. Tama ba? Mr. JM,
Yes, ma'am.
ano nangyari dun sa assignment nyo? Klaro, hindi.
Ibang speech, ma'am.
How about Miss Soberon?
Ma'am?
Kumusta yung assignment nyo?
Hello,
Pinagawa ko
ma'am?
kayo ng kumusta yung assignment nyo, yung pinagawa ko kayo ng mga activities? Yung pre-listening activity, during listening activity, then post-listening activity. Nakagawa ka, wala pa.
Hello, ma'am?
Nakagawa ka, wala pa. Wala pa.
Wala pong signal, ma'am.
Oh, sige lang. So, please paki-check later, ha? So, let us talk about the basic framework. So, we have the basic framework for the different listening activities. So, number one is pre-listening activity. This is during which help our students to prepare before listening. While listening, this is the during activity which will help to focus their attention on listening the text or guide to the development or their understanding to it. Then we have the post listening, during which we help our students integrate what we have learned from the text into their existing knowledge. So we would synthesize this activity one by one. So first, during the pre-listening, please remember that there are certain goals that we should be achieved before student listen to any text. These are what we call the motivation, contextualization, and preparation. So number one, part doon sa activity natin is the motivation. It is enormously important that before listening, students should be what? Motivated to listen. So they should try to select that text that they will find interesting and decide the task that will arouse your students' interest or curiosity. Ano ba ibig sabihin nito? Let's ponder with it, Tessa. It is important to what? To get more students what? Ano daw sabi dito? Motivated to ano? Motivated to listen.
Lesson.
Kasi nga ang problema, some students really don't want to listen. Yun yung mahirap, especially if there are new texts. Next, so they should what? You should, as a teacher, you should what? Select text that they would find ano daw?
Interesting.
Interesting. You
Oh,
don't find texts that are very boring to them. And especially yung alam na ng lahat. Kasi if you will find text that parang alam na ng lahat, parang oh, alam na to ni ano, and what? Make sure
dali
that
na.
you what? Design your text that would
Text.
arouse your
Reduce to
students what?
interest.
Interest and curiosity. They would be curious, ano kaya ito? Bakit ganito? Bakit ganyan? Kasi if you would not arouse your students' curiosity, para na ding walang mangyayari dun sa activity mo. Kasi, for example, I have teachers in the past that if they would be doing activities, you would already know na ay si ano naman to pag-uusapan dito. Si Sharon Cuneta naman, si Gabby Concepcion. Make sure as a teacher you are not what? You are not very predictable. Kasi kung very predictable ka, ang pangit kasi your student would not be what? Motivated. Your student would get what? Irritated. And make sure that you provide new materials. Kasi mas maganda if you are providing new materials, new literatures to them. Kasi it would widen their knowledge. So katulad nung binigay ko sa inyo, 'di ba, yung speech na Emma Watson, although although you know Emma Watson, di ba? Sino ba dito hindi nakakilala kay Emma Watson? Miss Soberon, kilala mo si Emma Watson, di ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Vinluan, kilala mo si Emma Watson, di ba?
Yes po, ma'am.
But then, you all know Emma Watson as what? As the Harry Potter star, Noah,
Actress.
and the Beast. But the part that she is a UN ambassador, yun yung hindi nyo alam. And she makes really, really good speeches.
Mm.
So question, sino na naka,
Meron na yan.
sino nang ano, nakapanood nung speech na in-upload ko?
Oo, ma'am.
Napanood mo na JM yung para sa mga lalaki?
Yes, ma'am.
Yung kay
Kay
Steve
Steve
Jobs?
Jobs. Opo, ma'am.
What can you say about the speech? Di ba iba siya?
Medyo jolly siya, ma'am, na una-una doon. Medyo ginakon.
Ano? Natapos mo na yun, wala pa. JM. Nawala si JM. How about you, Miss Vinluan? Have you finished listening to the speech? Yung for female
Wala
students?
pa, ma'am.
Wala pa? Yung sa...
Wala pa.
Pero napanood mo na yun, wala pa?
Sa mail.
Ba't mo pinanood yung mail?
Nakalanta ko, gamay lang, ma'am.
Sa female, dapat. How about you, Miss Subiron? Baka male din pinanood mo.
Yes, ma'am.
Male pinanood mo? Tapos lang. So, please watch. O, sige na lang. Okay na
Tutultol
rin
ko
din.
kasi,
Pero
ma'am.
please watch yung sa inyo na assignment. Hindi yung sa mga lalaki na assignment yung pinapanood nyo. So, as much as possible, but then, it should raise your students' curiosity. So, next is contextualization. Make sure when we listen to our everyday lives, we hear the language within the natural environment. And the environment gives us amount of what? Information. Ito siya. Pinili ko yung mga speech na yon because for me, the two speeches provided by those speakers, especially si Queen Rania and Steve Jobs, are what? Very inspiring. Although they have delivered that speech long time ago, like 2 to 3 years ago na ata, the speech was very inspiring, di ba? Nakaka-inspire yung speech. Hindi siya, hindi siya boring. Plus, ito siya, there was a suggestion that listening to the classroom, pakitingin to listening to a tape recording in a classroom is very unnatural. That's why I've uploaded the link of the video because ayoko pong nakikinig kayo na halimbawa I would get everyone online and play the speech kasi it would be a very very ridiculous thing. You would not be hearing it clearly. It's good enough na dapat ang nakikinig kayo lang, 'di ba? For example, I would say na, okay class, mamaya magko-conference tayo. That we would be listening to the speech. Ano ang mangyayari sa inyo if lahat kayo pina-online ko and nakinig tayo ng speech? Do you think you would understand the speech? Miss Vinluan, hindi 'di ba? How about you, Miss Franco? What if paggagawa ko ng activity, lahat tayo makikinig sa isang audio or makikinig tayo sa isang YouTube na na kanta? Do you think everyone would listen? And What do you think, Miss Franco?
Depende ma'am kasi meron po iba na hindi sila makikinig kung boring yung kanta tapos pakikinggan na lang nila about kung ipapasa na ang activity ma'am para makagawa na.
Mm. So, yun yung ina-avoid ko kasi some of you would just listen para lang makapasa ng activity. Pero at least nakinig, pero mas maganda pa rin that you would be listening to it individually. Kasi kung makikinig, if we would be listening by group, it would be very scary thing. Kasi hindi tayo makikinig lahat. The problem of this generation naman kasi is yung pakikinig. Everyone wants to talk but nobody wants to listen. Tama man? So, make sure that the text from the environment is sent us that will have contextual listening, and eto siya, make sure that you have the original text. Meron kayong kopya ng text. And make sure that it was recorded in its original environment. Maraming recording yung mga speech na yon. Merong iba na ginawa na siyang lyrics, may iba na. Pero I'll make sure that doon mismo sa kung saan siya nag-speech, doon ko pinapanood sa inyo kasi mas maganda yon. You would really feel. Okay, next. Preparation. Ito siya. To do the task, we set the student to listen what? Ito. What will students... Teka lang ano ko. To do the task, we make sure that we set the students while they listen, there could be what? Specific vocabulary or expression that the students need. Before listening, make sure that you provide activities for your students, or you provide vocabulary words. Kasi baka kasi may mga estudyante na although nakikinig sila ng speech or there would be a listening activity, hindi nila maiintindihan ang sinasabi because there are some words that are what? New to you. May mga words talaga na hindi mo talaga maiintindihan. So that's why, napansin niyo yung elementary kayo, your teacher would be giving you a set of words for vocabulary purposes kasi nasa babasahin nyo ito, nasa pakikinggan nyo ito. So let's deconstruct some words. There are 5 words in this list. Make sure that you look for its meaning. So di ba yan yung ginagawa ng mga teachers natin dati? Before ang activity, hanapin ang kahulugan ng mga salitang ito kasi ang mga salitang ito ay gagamitin natin mamaya sa ating babasahing teksto. Diba? Agree kayo? Next. It is vital that we cover this before we start listening so that the challenge of listening that understand of what we do. Ito siya. Hindi lang dapat kasi as a teacher, as a future teacher, hindi lang dapat yung estudyante nyo lang ang nakinig doon sa pakikinggan nyo. Dapat kayo rin mismo nakinig kayo. Kasi ang mahirap niyan, actually I've known some people do this. Pa-activity sa estudyante, pero in the last part, sila mismo hindi nila pinakinggan yung activity. Then sometimes, right na lang, they would just let the student answer those activity. But make sure that as future educators, you don't do that. Dapat as future educators, tayo mismo ang unang nakikinig doon sa recording. Kuha? Kasi mahirap eh. You could not, paano mo i-discuss yung lesson if kayo mismo hindi mo alam ano yung content ng lesson. So, there has to be an act of listening, not just on what they have to do. So, ano naman ang gagawin during listening? While listening. Ano naman dapat gawin? When we listen to something, or for example, students need, eto siya, when we listen to something, it should be what? For a reason. Next, student, op, op, op. Student need to listen so that they could what? Focus their attention. Kaya nga, I've looked for speeches that are very powerful. Kasi, for example, I would just be looking to speeches na feeling ko hindi powerful. Do you think kayo mismo makikinig? Tama o mali? Hindi kayo makikinig actually. Bakit kayo makikinig? Eh, alam niyo naman boring yung tao. So that's why I make sure that you have what? Reason to listen so that you can focus your attention. For a student to listen number of times, eto siya, di ba? Advice kagabi doon sa lesson natin. Ano daw yung sabi? Doon sa lesson natin kagabi, ilang beses dapat siya pakinggan? Miss, ano, di ba nandito? Miss Ocampo. Miss Ocampo, based sa lesson natin kagabi, ilang beses dapat pakinggan? Miss Ocampo?
2 to 3 times, ma'am. 2 to 3 times
Wow.
po para maintindihan talaga yung
Lesson or yung
kahit kayong ulan.
kaya nga umuulan. So very good, nakinig pala si Miss Franco nung isang araw ba yan? Isang gabi. So make sure for a student you need to what? They need to listen a number of times because ano daw na yung mangyayari as as found out the first time that student gets nervous. Ano daw yung nangyayari sa mga estudyante? They get nervous and have to tune into the accent and speed of which the person is talking. If you are new to the person who is talking, first time mong makinig sa kanya, you would really get anxious. Number one, lalo na if the person is what? A foreigner. That's why some people are very afraid talking to what? Foreigners, di ba? Bakit takot sila makinig sa mga foreigners? Kasi number one, foreigners have different what? Accent. Number two, they really talk very fast. Hindi lang din they talk really fast. Ano pa? Minsan masyado pang slang yung kanilang magsalita sila, very slang. Tapos ikaw mismo na nakikinig parang ano ba 'tong sabi niya? Uy, would I really understand what he's talking about? Kasi masyadong slang. So that's why if you would have listening activity for your student, make sure that you don't get your student what? Nervous. And make sure that you are a very considerate teacher. Huwag po tayong okay class, listen to this once, then we'll do that, we will do this. Kasi, ikaw, it's not just ako mismo, before I can get kung ano yung sinasabi minsan ng mga foreigner, usually I listen to them. Kasi parang sasabihin ko, could you repeat what you're saying? Please talk slowly. Parang ganon. Kasi naman, pag hindi na, ako nga nagkakaproblema when I'm talking to a foreigner. How much more your student when they would just be listening. O ano pa, hindi pa nga nag-uumpisa yung pakikinig ng estudyante mo, nagka-nervous breakdown na. So, let's make sure that we avoid these things. Kasi, ano yung mangyayari sa estudyante natin if sila mismo ay nagpapanik sa pakikinig. Tama man? Okay. Next, ideally, the listening task we designed to them guide through the text and grade it so that the first one is quite easy. Ito. Make sure that your first listening task magpapagawa kayo ng listening task, it should be what? A guided listening task. And it is what? Designed very well so that we could help our student. Bakit natin sa tutulungan? It generally helps them to what? Understand the text that is being said. Sometimes what? A single question is enough. Single question lang. Not putting students enough pressure. So ito siya. On your first activity, make sure that what? You just provide one question. Kasi ako kasi, hindi ko pa, ginawa ko kasi, that was just for listening exercise. Pero, pag gagawa kayo ng activity, make sure that, depending on the capacity of your student, wag po nating tadtarin ng tanong yung estudyante. Kuha, if it is just a listening exercise. Halimbawa, sa room kayo, sa classroom kayo, a 10 minutes listening exercise is very long na. Sa 10 minutes na yon, at least you could have at least 3 questions. Make sure that you provided the questions para during listening, doon nila hahanapin yung mga sagot. Pero if that listening activity is take home, kahit mag 100 question kayo, okay lang yan. Kasi take home activity naman siya. Pero hindi po ito pa sobra. Ha? Kasi iba naman yung 100 question. Siguro yung speech na pakikinggan mo is around mga 3 hours na yan. If you could give 100 question. But make sure what? Ano yung nakalagay dito? We should not, ano daw yung nakalagay dito? We should not, nawala. We should not put our students to, pakibasa, ito naka-highlight, ayan. Miss Winloan, pakibasa.
Not putting the students under too much pressure.
Oh. As much as we want that activity to be a very bright activity, but we should also make sure that we don't put the students in what? Too much pressure. Kasi you are there to help the student improve his or her listening skills. Hindi mo naman ginawa yung activity para patayin yung estudyante, di ba? It's different from helping a student than killing a student. Next. The second task for the second time student listen, second time na, kanina first time ha, please remember that you should demand a what? Dito sa first task, ano yun siya? Ideally, listening task we decide should what? Just guide them. Eto siya. The second task of the second should be greater and more detailed understanding of the text. Yung dapat mas mas lala na. Make sure that the task doesn't demand too much response. Kasi bakit writing long responses as they descend can be what? Demanding and is a separate skill itself. So they could siguro words, okay, ano yung ibig sabihin nito? The second time that you would be listening, for the, bawa, ngayong araw, hapon, nag-listening activity kayo, yun yung first time nyo. Then today would be your what? Second listening activity. Although you would demand higher understanding of that listen, kung ano yung pinaparinig nyo, speech, song, story, um, any types of listening activity, make sure that hindi pa rin sobra yung response. Make sure that the response is, yung para lang kung okay, nakinig yung estudyante. Pag may nakita siya dong importante, the student will just jot down notes. Hindi yung lahat ng sinasabi doon sa speech, sinusulat ng estudyante. Kasi ibang activity na rin yun siya. Kuha? Make sure that when you do activities, alam niyo yung task na pinapagawa nyo. It's either ano ba yung task nyo? Makinig lang yung estudyante at kunin yung importante details o isulat ng estudyante ano yung mga lahat ng importante detalye. Kuha nyo, it's getting the important details or getting all the details. Magkaiba po yun. Ha? Next. The third listening task could be a matter of checking their own answers. Ito na. This task answers the second task and or could be suited towards more subtle interpretation of the text. Ibig sabihin, mas deeper and mas greater understanding na ng text. Ito siya. On the first listening task, halimbawa, ang gagawin nyo lang is, okay, sino yung mga character doon, ganyan-ganyan lang. On the next task, first listening skill. Based on sa kwento na pakinggan ninyo, who are the main characters of the story? Parang ganun lang. On the second time, pa-bright-bright na kayo. Okay, sino yung mga character ng mga story? And sino yung antagonist? And sino yung protagonist? Kuha nyo? On the third time, nagagawa kayo ng listening activity, ang task nyo naman is, okay class, sino yung mga characters ng story? Sino naman yung protagonist? Sino naman yung mga antagonists? Next, ang question nyo is, bakit yun nasabing siya yung protagonist, siya yung antagonist? Kita yung development ng questioning ko. Sa first day, simple lang. Sa second day, mahirap siya. Pagka third day, it gets complicated. So dapat ganun yung process ng inyong activity. So let us make do with this. Listening to a foreign language is very intensive and undemanding activity. For this reason, students should have a breathing space or thinking space between listening. Pag nakikinig daw kayo sa foreign language, make sure meron kayong breathing space. Hindi yung dire-diretso kayo nakikinig. Ha? Make sure that your student compare their answers between listening and break. And also check their understanding. Make sure that you encourage cooperation within your students. Halimbawa, nakinig tayo sa isang speech ng Russian siya, pero English yung sinasabi niya. So, ang gagawin nyo, for the first 5 minutes, makikinig kayo. Then you cut the speech. Then you let your students discuss with each other. Pakidiscuss, I'll give you 10 minutes. Ano yung nakuha nyo doon sa speech ng taong yon? Ano yung nakuha nyo na mga ideas? Kasi we need uniformity of understanding. Kasi nga yung language na ginagamit iba. Dapat magkaroon ng yung maliit na discussion within the students kasi kung walang discussion within them, baka maghambal ang mga estudyante nyo, Diyos ko, Lord, naintindihan ko ni. Diyos ko, Lord, tama ba ako interpretation sini? Di ba? Magkakaproblema tayo if ganyan. And not everyone is very confident with their listening skill. Tama man? Oh, next. So, post listening. There are two common forms of post listening. These are what? Reaction to text. Oh, reaction daw doon sa napakinggan or analysis of linguistic factors. Ito siya. Halimbawa, nakinig tayo ng kanta. Dalawa po yung patutunguhan ng activity. Halimbawa, okay class, makinig tayo ng kanta ni sino ba? Ni Adele. Or sino ba sikat ngayon? Makinig tayo ng kanta ni Skustakli. Or makinig tayo ng kanta ng maski sino na dyan. Meron tayong dalawang analysis na dapat gawin. It's either, class, please make a reaction paper about the lyrics. Kuha, lyrics ha, lyrics. Or, please react on the content of the song. It's either grammatically, linguistically, bahala kayo. Pero make sure that hindi nyo pagsasabayin yung dalawa. Kuha? Class, ano yung reaction? Okay. Marinig nyo pa ako? Ha?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
May tawag kasi. So, make sure, halimbawa, masabi ako na, okay class, makinig kayo sa kanta ni ano ba? Alam ko yung singer na kaila. Ni Adele. Please react on song of Adele. Pero, yun lang yung lyrics. What can you say about the lyrics? What can you say about the first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, fourth paragraph? Yun yung activity na isa. Or sasabihin ko, based on the emotions given by that song, what emotions would you feel during the first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, fourth paragraph, fifth paragraph? Di ba? Iba-iba siya na activity. Hindi po siya pwedeng pagsabayin kasi mamamatay po yung estudyante nyo. Maawa kayo sa estudyante nyo. So next, so how does reaction to the text? So, focus on what? Reason. What are the reaction? This could be a discussion of response. If you what? Ito siya oh. What we've heard, do you agree or disagree? Or even believe what you've heard? Oh. Next, it could be what? Analysis of language. This is important. It could be what? Take form of verbs. Ito na siya. It could be what? In text form. Ito siya. Pwede rin, ito yung i-analyze ninyo. And expressions and meanings. Yun siya ang dapat yung tandaan pag nagpapagawa kayo ng activity. So, mag-cut muna tayo dito ha.